Hey everybody, this is Chris Baker. You're watching the podcast Tell Me Your Story. Today's special guest is David Frank, and he's here to tell his story. We're just going to do like we always do. We're going to jump into this. We're going to start from the very beginning. We're going to start from the very
You want to
beginning.
start over?
We're going to start from the very beginning, and then how it all starts. Where did you grow up at?
I grew up in South Bend, Indiana, and yeah, I've been here my whole life. And I became an activist about 30 years ago when I realized that the system was not working for the people. And ever since then, we've been trying to change it. And I think as I look around the world and the country right now, I think people are ready for real change, fortunately.
What were you before you were an activist? Like what? Like growing up? When did this become?
Well, uh, I don't know. I got married when I was 21 years old and started having kids and worked at John Hancock in the insurance business for about 8 years. And then shortly after that, we opened a restaurant right near the University of Notre Dame, and we had that for about 15 years. And we sold that about 20 years ago because I wanted to spend my time with activism. I knew that, it was going to take some time to change the greatest country on the planet. And so for the last 30 years, I've really been just being an activist and trying to get an idea out to the public because, everybody knows that we have problems. But what we've got to start talking about right now is a solution, and that's what we're promoting.
All right, well, we'll just go back a little bit, kind of dig a little bit deeper into this. Where does your life begin at? Growing up, how was it? How many brothers, sisters you have? Where'd you grow up at?
I grew up in South Bend, Indiana. My dad was a lawyer here, and I have four brothers. And yeah, uh, everybody sort of went off and did their own thing. My oldest brother is an attorney, and my next oldest is he had an insurance agency. The next one had a car lot, and then I was, when I was in the restaurant business, I was sort of the weenie man. We specialized in Chicago style hot dogs. And then I became an activist. And then my youngest brother is a veterinarian.
Wow, you guys got quite a family.
Yeah, the oldest went into law, the next one finance, the next one transportation. I was in food for a while, and then the other one's in medicine. So
That,
we've all been around, that's for sure.
that's kind of how it is with my sisters. They were in food for the longest time. That was their career. Then I was working in factories, and now they're in the factory life, and I'm in broadcasting.
I'll be darned. Where are you located, Chris?
I am out here in the great state of Ohio,
Okay, terrific. It's a
where
great state.
it's where it all happens at. And then, okay, so restaurant business, how was that? Being that you said your dad was a lawyer, your brother was a lawyer, and then how'd that work out for you? Were you the black sheep for a while, or how did?
Actually, my dad wanted all of us to be lawyers. In fact, every time one of us was born, he'd send out announcements saying that the law firm of Frank and Frank and Frank just added a new member, Frank. But only my oldest brother turned out to be a lawyer, and we all went in different directions. Um, but the restaurant business was it was an interesting business. It was a good education for me because it taught me about small business and how tough it is to be in small business today. In fact, it's just horribly tough right now because they're actively trying to destroy the economy, unfortunately. But yeah, that was a good education. I made a lot of good contacts, and but then I started bringing my activism to the restaurant, and that's how I knew I had to get out of the restaurant because That was back when people didn't want to talk about politics or anything like that. Everything was basically okay. But over the years, it's changed and things are not good anymore, as you know.
And like, who motivated you to become an activist? What motivated you, I should say, to get into this?
Sort of an interesting story. Did you ever see Field of Dreams? The
Yes.
movie Field of Dreams? Well, that's what happened to me. In fact, this was in 1989, just as Field of Dreams was coming out. And a friend of ours said, "You got to see Field of Dreams. It's all about you." And we watched Field of Dreams. I don't know if you saw the movie Rudy, but we were actually over at Rudy's apartment watching this movie. And it made me realize that there are things more powerful, in our lives that are being used to direct our lives. I think we have a lot less control over our lives than we realize. And a lot of the messages in the movie Field of Dreams did pertain to me. It eases pain. The people are in pain right now. They're really struggling. I mean, I've never seen so many homeless people in my life. And then go the distance. It's not easy trying to change the most powerful country in the world, and it's taken a long time. The politicians hate what I talk about, the media hates what I talk about, and the lawyers hate what I talk about, because we've turned into a country that's of the lawyers, by the lawyers, and for the lawyers. And the other message was, if you build it, he will come. And one of the most intelligent people that I've ever known in my life called me to his bedside as he was dying, and he said, "Davy boy," he said, "you got to promise me you'll never stop doing what you're doing." He said, "You're absolutely right." And he said, "Always remember, Davy boy, vox populi, vox Dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God." That's what I believe, and that's why I'm promoting this plan called One Voice Now, to bring those watts and bolts of something, a higher intelligence together, a collective consciousness, if you will, to start resolving the issues that the politicians have destroyed. Fixing education in your community, fixing the environment in your community, healthcare in your community, the infrastructure in your community. And the community is the place that things are going to be fixed. But to go back a little bit, when I sold the restaurant, I was doing a radio program called Stand Up America. And I was on this program telling our listeners, and it was just a local program, but I was telling the listeners that the politicians don't have the answers for you. You have the answers. And the politicians hated it so much that our only talk radio station ended up going to music. And I went on to win the Dr. Martin Luther King Award and the Logan Award here in Indiana. And now I'm spending all my time trying to get an idea out to the public that we really can save America and ourselves.
But I want to kind of step back into that a little bit with your broadcasting career. Was it tough just getting that message out there? Were you getting a lot of backlash from it? Were you getting like hate mail? What was going on in that situation? Can you kind of describe that?
Yeah, people, there were a lot of people that really thought I was crazy and that hated me, because back then, probably, I'm just pulling these percentages out, I would say 30 years ago, probably 75% of the people were doing pretty well in America, and they really didn't want to see the system change because it was working good for them. But 25% of the people back then were struggling. And I cared about the 25%, but forward 30 years, I think the numbers are totally reversed now. I think 25% of the people are probably doing okay, and 75% of the people are really struggling. And so that, but it was very tough. It was very tough. Yeah, you got a lot of calls, just really people being rude, to tell you the truth. Just, hey, if you don't like this country, you should go live somewhere else, and you're a communist. And Uh, just just really rude people. They thought that me wanting to see the country fixed meant that I didn't like the country. They didn't realize that the reason I want to see it fixed is because I love this country and I believe in the people. But I do know that the founders told us in the Declaration of Independence that it's our right and our duty to change the system, and that's what we need to do right now.
I got kind of speechless for a minute because I was taking it all in.
I'm
Just
going to take a drink here.
okay. So you had a lot going on, though. It's just, I mean, it's kind of funny. I was just thinking about it as you were just telling it. It's like it's funny, like whenever you want to, make a change and you're speaking the truth, people always seem to say, "No, thank you. I like the way things are," and that's basically what you were just describing. That what you had to
As
do.
long as they as long as they've got enough for themselves, unfortunately, that's what they care about. They think everything's fine as long as they're fine. And they aren't looking around and seeing people, eating out of dumpsters and living under bridges. And they have to realize that, those people are human beings and we have to care about those people. But unfortunately, the politicians don't care about that. All we are is a money machine for them. And they get to make the rules, and the rules are that they get to steal our money, and then we're supposed to sit back and figure out how to live on 40 cents on the dollar, and you can't do it. They've reached a saturation point where they've stolen so much from us, and they've crawled in bed with these greedy corporations and allowed them to overcharge us on everything, gas, electric, pharmaceuticals, energy, whatever it is, so that the CEOs can make 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 million dollars a year while we all overpay. And so you and I don't have any representation. That's the bottom line. And we live in the communication age. And what we've got to do is we've got to use the communication technology that's being used on us, and we have to use it for us. And that's what I'm promoting. I'm promoting a plan to use it for us, community by community.
And then how do you plan on getting it out there?
Well, I've been using social media, the regular media. I've had people come to my house from, local broadcasting stations and interview me. And the guy that's doing the interviewing, he said, "Well, I like this," and then he takes it back to the station, and they say, "We won't play this." And the reason is because all the campaign finance money that's collected at every election, it all goes to the media. So when somebody like Dave Frank stands up and says, "Hey, why do we need the politicians to make decisions for us? Why don't we, the people, start making decisions ourselves?" And then the broadcasters go, "Oh, wait a minute, we won't get all that money,
Yeah.
from the election. So we don't like this guy. He's pushing something that's not going to help us." But they aren't smart enough to realize that all of these broadcasters started making their money from small businesses, not big business, but small business. And they don't realize that once small business has a voice in your community and they start growing again like they should, then all of a sudden they can start advertising again, on local broadcasting stations. But they're owned, the broadcasters now are owned by the big money people, the corporations that are looking to control society. And, they're using technology on us. We're using the Constitution, but people don't realize there's not a word of technology in the Constitution. That's from the 1700s. You won't read about the TV or the touch tone phone or the computer in the Constitution. It's not in there. So while all this technology is being used on us, we're trying to use the Constitution to defend ourselves, but there's no technology that we're using. And that's why I'm pushing this, because this is the technology that has to be added in every community to make the Constitution work.
And just touch a little bit on your what you were saying about PBS, so that people, I mean, that haven't seen your video yet, but kind of explain it to them, whoever's listening.
Yeah, the television, like I said, is being used on us, programming us to believe what they want. And what we need is our own local TV station. And back in 1969 is when public broadcasting started. And when it started, people were really excited because they thought, hey, public broadcasting, they're actually going to broadcast the public. Well, the federal government started funding it immediately to make sure that that didn't happen because they don't want us to have a voice. So instead of using it to broadcast the public, they're broadcasting Antique Roadshow and cartoons and 60s music. And what we have to do, because we own public broadcasting station, well, they're networked all across America and we own them. But what we've got to do is we've got to stand up and demand to change the format of our local public broadcasting station to our local issues TV, radio, and internet channel. And this will be the local channel that people in your community, when they have an idea to make education better, environment, taxation, healthcare, they'll be able to present their idea directly to the community over the TV. We'll simulcast it over the radio and live stream it over the internet. We'll debate this idea because we want people to be educated so they can see the pros and the cons. And just like we're voting on American Idol and Dancing with the Stars and CNN, you'll be able to vote with any touch-tone phone. All you'll do is call a local number. It'll go into a community database that will have your ID number and PIN number, ask you what issue number you'd like to vote on. Press 1 for yes, 2 for no, count your vote, block you out from voting more than once, and we can now have decisions the way our founders really wanted them to be made, of by and for the people. And that's why the politicians hate it, because once this is up and running, why are we letting 9 people on a city council make decisions for everybody when we can just start asking everybody? And they'll lose control over all that money that they're laundering to their friends. And the same holds true on a state and a federal level. But the way to fix America is not from the top down. We have a top-down system and it benefits the people at the top. What we need is a ground-up system. It was prophesized 2,000 years ago that there will be a day where the last will be first and the first will be last. That's what One Voice Now is. We're going to build this from the ground up, community by community, and we're going to start finding solutions in our communities so we can stop relying on these politicians and start rebuilding America from the ground up. And that's basically it. You got a TV, radio, or are you on the internet? Why don't you just watch issues over the TV, radio, or internet and vote by phone?
That'd make it so much easier.
Sure. So anyway, that's what I do, and I'm doing everything I can to get the plan out. And the plan is called One Voice Now, and the blueprint is on our website, which is onevoicenow.org. And I hope everybody goes to it, and I hope people realize that the answer is not in Washington, and it's not in state capitals, and it's not with your city council. It's with your local public broadcasting facility. Take control of that. Use that as your local issues TV, radio, and internet channel so that you can communicate in your community and get organized and start fixing these issues that the politicians have destroyed.
Preach it. Amen. Amen to that.
Do you like it? I hope you like the idea.
Yes. That's why I have you on this podcast. So you can express your ideas, man. Tell it. It's stuff that needs to be heard. People need to hear this stuff. It needs to, that's why it's one of the main reasons why I do this. So your voice can be heard, so your message can get out there. I'm not afraid to put this out there.
Well, I appreciate it. And, when mainstream media won't cover, good things like this, and what we're realizing is government and media is where great ideas go to die. And right now we have social media, and we have terrific people like you that are helping people like me take an idea and get it out to the rest of the people so that they can go, hey, wait a minute. Yeah, we could do this. Yeah, we don't have to fight the police and we don't have to fight the military. All we've got to do is take control of our local public broadcasting station and start interconnecting the brain cells in our community. You know, you might have 10,000 people in your community that have ideas to make your education system better, little pieces that are going to come together to make your education system better than ever before. And you got people in your community that want to see the environment cleaned up, better air, better water. Washington, D.C. is not going to do that. They don't care about your community. All they care about is your money. You know, when you think about it, just look at the numbers for a second. We're sending 545 people in Washington, D.C. Every 12 months, we're sending them $4 trillion. And for your listeners that don't know what $4 trillion is, it's 4 million all being sucked out of our communities. And that's why our communities are now broke. That doesn't even include the money that the state is sucking out of our communities. And our communities need money so we can barter with one another. But all they're doing is stealing all this money out of all of our communities, leaving us with poverty. And, you know, everybody knows that poverty leads to crime. And that's what's going on right now. There's just no money left in our communities. And when One Voice Now is up and running, all we've got to do is raise the issue. Why are we sending these people these 545 people who don't represent us? Why are we sending them our income tax? Why don't we keep our money right in our community and let the people decide where that money should go?
Could you imagine, like, once that actually does happen, I don't know how people would react. You know, if that were actually happening, we're keeping it here, it'd be a much better place.
Absolutely, and it will work. You know, what I propose is a 10% sales tax, the only tax that we have, and it all stays right in your community. And you let the people decide. You know, you'll have community health care for everybody. The community will own the hospital. Doctors will be on salary, not on commission like used car salesmen. And you use your local public broadcasting station to start educating people on how to take care of your health. And you start teaching it in schools, you know, the ideas that the people want, the parents and the teachers working together. And all of these things can happen. I'm telling you, but it can't happen until we can communicate. And we live in the communication age. You know, we've got to communicate as a community. We've got to put the unity back in community. But you got to have the tools to do it. One Voice Now is the tool to do it. And if you go to the website, it'll explain, you know, think about your city council. Your city council raises issues, they debate them, and they vote on them. One Voice Now is the blueprint so that your community can raise issues in your community, debate them, vote on them, and implement them. And when your community finds things that work, you share it with all the other communities across the country. And when they find things that work, they'll share it with you. And we start rebuilding America from the ground up.
The best way is to put it all together is together we stand, divided we fall.
Absolutely. And, you know, when you think about people in relative terms, we're all just brain cells. Without brain cells, we don't exist. We don't function. And the only way that the brain works is the brain cells have to be interconnected so that they can share information with one another. And that's what One Voice Now does. It interconnects all the brain cells in your community so that we can start sharing information with one another and building on it and building that collective consciousness so we can start finding the truth. Politicians are not telling us the truth. The media is not telling us the truth. You know, if it's going to be the truth that'll make us free, this will be the tool that will help us find the truth.
Very, very true. Very true.
I don't know if this is what you were looking for this interview, but you know, this is all I do. I'm just trying to push a plan and a solution.
It's a different spin of what this podcast is, but I'm just glad to get your story out there, man. Get your voice.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much, and I hope your listeners like it. and I hope they go to onevoicenow.org, because that's what they need. They need a blueprint. If you're going to build something or rebuild something in your community, you can't do it without a blueprint. One Voice Now is the blueprint that they need.
All right, we're gonna ease it down just a little bit, just in case somebody's foaming at the mouth. We'll step away from this for just a second. All right, we'll talk about something simple like, where'd you meet your wife? You know, how did your love life start?
Oh, geez, we are getting into it, aren't we?
Let's dig deep
My
into
wife
Lily's
is
story.
my wife is totally incredible. I met her where we worked. We worked in the same building, and we really fell in love. It was just a crazy thing. It was a very spiritual thing, to tell you the truth. And yeah, she's just, how would you like to be married to a guy that thinks he can save the world?
or
It,
like
it
a better way to put it,
it's
like a
very
woman.
tough.
How did she take it?
She's got a lot of patience, but see, she spends a lot of time working with special needs kids.
Okay.
And so that keeps her occupied. She works for the school system, and she works with special needs kids that have trouble learning. And that's what she does, and she gets a lot of gratification out of it. And she's helped a lot of kids. And she knows what I'm doing is very important, because she knows how dysfunctional the school system is. And she knows that it has to be fixed. And she also knows that One Voice Now is the way to do it. So she's been right there with me, and believe me, I've had a lot of stones thrown at me, but it's all right. It's all right when you're doing the right thing and you're caring about God's children. I just feel like if you care about God's children, you're doing God's work. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, you're putting good out into the world. I mean, you're gonna get rewarded for it.
Well, I've been rewarded. I've had a good life. Unfortunately, I have cancer, and I have terminal cancer, and I'm not going to be here a long time. And the thing that I'm trying to do is get this out to the public, so that they have a plan that they can get behind before I'm out of here. And I want to leave this world in better shape for, future generations. I had a great childhood. I had problems like everybody else, but I grew up at a time where you could get on your bike in the morning and take off, and nobody knew where you were or cared about where you were. And you got home at night and you had supper on the table. And if you messed up, you'd be punished. And it was a great time to be alive. And it was,
I wish I could go back to
I don't know.
days.
I just, pardon me?
I said,
What'd you say?
when I think about my childhood too, it's just exactly that. Anymore, it feels like a movie, because that is how you described it. It's like the street lights were that was telling us to go home. We would be out from the
Yes, sir.
from the when it was the sun's just coming up. We'd be out all the way till the street lights came on. Yep. Those were the good old days.
And you cried when you had to come in,
Yeah.
because you wanted to stay out and keep playing. But you had freedom back then. You had freedom. And then when I got married, and I got married in when did I get married? 1969. And when I was working at the hospital. I wanted to do something medically, and then I ended up going in the insurance business. But back then, when I started with John Hancock, they gave me $600 a month. And I'm thinking, $600? I'm not going to put all this in the same bank. I'm telling you, for $600 a month, you could live a good life. And over the years, they've been just stealing more and more and more. And, it's when they steal your money through taxation and through corporate greed, they steal your time. And when you don't have any time, then you can't be a good husband, and you can't be a good father, and you can't be a good friend. And what we've got to do is nonviolently decide as a community that you're not going to steal this money anymore. We're going to keep it in our community. And when we do that, what we'll do is come up with ideas to bring the cost of living down so that we can really start enjoying our lives again and get off this treadmill, trying to make more and more money every year, to keep up with the price of gas and the price of everything else. It's just silly. We don't need to do this. All we have to do is get organized in our communities, and all of a sudden we don't need Washington, D.C. and the state capitol and these goofballs anymore. People have to realize God's trying to tell us something. Think of the word politics. Poly means many, and ticks are bloodsuckers. Politics, that's what they are.
Well said, well said. I never even thought about it like that. That's Now that you had the glass shattered effect, now I'm gonna every time politics comes up, that's what I'm gonna hear now.
They're just stealing our money, and they're stealing our livelihood and our purpose. And people say, well, parents should spend more time with the kids. Well, how can you spend more time with the kids when the parents have to work 100 hours a week?
Yeah,
and then you look at the crap that's on TV, what they're programming people with over the television. All it is sex and violence and sex and violence and sex. And then these kids go out and get in trouble either violently or sexually. And they go, oh, they should have known better. No, they've been programmed for this crap.
Thank you. You hit it right on the head, man. I was just about to say that. It's all. I try to tell people it's what you're watching, man. What you're programming yourself to watch. You got to be careful because there's a lot of stuff out there, and before you know it, man, you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, or watching something.
They call it programming. That's really what they call it, and that's what it is. And we've got to, when I was growing up, I was watching Lucy and Ricky, and the Real McCoys, and it was all good quality stuff. But this is all crap that they're programming us with now, and we've got to take back control of our airwaves. Excuse me, I'm going to have this throat loss and share.
And that's why I do this whole podcast is I want to inspire people like how we used to be inspired. When you would watch stuff, they always had a message at the end of it to make it, okay, this is how you do the right thing. And that's what I want to get back to. Because now, anymore, like you said, it's pretty much garbage anymore. It is. Everybody takes it in.
Well, something happened back in 1960 that people don't realize. Before 1960, this country used to be closed down one day a week. And the 10 commandments, the 10 morals that we were given by a higher intelligence 5,000 years ago, one of the morals was to rest one day a week. All of us rest one day a week. And we used to it was on Sunday, and nothing was open. And families came together like clockwork. And, we knew each other. I knew my cousins and my aunts and uncles. And we knew that Sunday there was nothing to do, so everybody got together. Well, in 1969, lawyers on the Supreme Court decided that God was wrong. And they said that was a church and state. And if you read the 10 commandments, there's nothing about religion at all in the commandments. Those are just 10 morals that we should all know. And they threw it out. They threw that day of rest out. And after that, we started going 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And the reason they did that was they knew that, hey, we're making this much money in income tax. And if we had the slaves working 7 days, guess how much more we could make? Well, when they threw that commandment out, they threw them all out. And right after that, we went to Vietnam and we started killing. And we've been killing ever since. Lying is fine. Lying about people is fine. Adultery is fine. Disrespecting parents is fine. Forcing us to believe in political false idols is fine. Everything we were told not to do 5,000 years ago, the politicians have been promoting in our society. And what we've got to do is we've got to bring those 10 basic morals back to society so that everybody knows that lying is wrong and stealing is wrong and killing is wrong. Disrespecting your parents is wrong. Just 10 things. But without those 10 things, we have an immoral country. And what we've got to do is we've got to bring them back. And the thing about One Voice Now is once the people have a voice in our communities, we can raise that issue, debate it, vote on it, and bring back those morals.
Just thinking about it, man. It's just like you're hitting on so many notes.
Well, that's what, it's important. It's important. People get arrested. He should have known better not to steal. Who told him not to steal?
Exactly.
And the politicians lie every day. They lie about people every day. We go to war and kill innocent people. They make us work 8 days a week. Everything we were told not to do, they're leading us. They're the moral leaders of America, and they're destroying everything that we should be doing. That's why we're an immoral country. But we can do this. And the exciting thing about One Voice Now and being in America is once we do this in America, people around the world are looking for a plan for real democracy. And what One Voice Now is 21st century technological direct democracy, where the people raise the issues, the people debate the issues, the people vote on the issues, and they're implemented, and we start building the kind of world we want for ourselves and future generations.
All right, let's take a time out from this again, just in case somebody's foaming at the mouth. Go back a little bit. You were at Rudy's apartment?
Yeah, I helped Rudy get his project done. And unfortunately, Rudy forgot about all of his friends. And he went and he ended up marrying his stepdaughter. And they ended up having a couple kids. And he moved out to Las Vegas away from South Bend, everybody that helped him. And he and I had a pledge in his kitchen that whoever got their project done first would help the other one. And I helped him get his done, and he did absolutely nothing to help get One Voice Now out there. And the way One Voice Now was given to me, like in Field of Dreams, this guy heard voices in his cornfield. I was paralyzed for a week, and that's how this information was given to me.
Well, let's go into that a little bit. Let's hear a little bit more about that story.
Well, it happened a week before Christmas, 1989, and my wife and I were sleeping and at 5:45 in the morning, my eyes opened and I was paralyzed. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't move, but I was able to see over on my blinds, the window, and I was watching my life like unfolding before me. And, I've had ups and downs in my life, and these moments were being replayed, sort of like when somebody would talk about a near-death experience where their life flashes in front of them.
So you were in this moment, you were kind of stepping into what they call the awareness.
I would say so, and this went on till 7 o'clock, from 5:45 till 7 o'clock in the morning. And at 7 o'clock, I was released from it. And I got out of bed and I thought I had a stroke or something. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't say anything to my wife because she had no clue what was going on. And I went to work that day to the restaurant, and people were looking at me saying, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I was just blowing it off. I figured I had like a little mini stroke or something and that'd be it. And then the next day at exactly 5:45 in the morning, my eyes open again, and once again, I'm watching my life being replayed on my blinds. And at 7 o'clock, I'm released from this thing, and I got out of bed, and it's like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
That happened. That happened for a total of 5 days. And on the fifth day, we had gone to some friend's house to have dinner, 3 couples. And after dinner, the guys went in. Now, remember, this is back in 1989. And the guys went into the living room to talk about nothing important. And all of a sudden, Dave stands up and says, "Don't you understand what they're doing to us? They're taking our money and they're giving us these greedy, hypocritic laws to live under." And my wife walks into the room and she says, "What's going on?" And this one guy says, "Well, Dave wants to overthrow the government." I said, "I didn't say I wanted to overthrow the government. I'm just saying that, they're giving us these lies to live with." And we left. My wife, she was a little upset because you didn't talk about politics or religion back then. And we left, and she was a little upset with me. And the next morning at 5:45, my eyes opened again, and this time it was different. I was paralyzed. It felt like my hair was standing on end. And this time the information was given to me, and the information was that the miracle of the TV is a miracle that's been given to us not to program us to be oversexed and overviolent, but so we, the people, can watch issues on the TV that affect our lives. The miracle of the touch-tone phone has been given to us, not so we can be interrupted while we're having dinner by somebody wanting to sell us something, but so that when we watch these issues over the TV, we can use the touch-tone phone as a voting device. And the third component is the computer that the call goes into to verify the voter and block you out from voting more than once. And I've got tears rolling down my eyes because it feels as though somebody or something's being dropped into my body. And it felt like the old Dave Frank was being pushed to the side, and this new whatever spirit was taking over my body. And at 7 o'clock, I'm released from this thing. And I get out of bed and I say, "Honey, that's it. That's why this technology has been given to us, so that we, the people, can watch issues over the TV, vote by phone, and have our calls verified by a computer. And each person gets one vote." And she's looking at me like she just lost a good husband. And and that changed my life. And on the 7th day, it was exactly the same as the 6th, sort of like a refresher course. And that it's changed my, it changed my life. It made me realize that we're not a democracy. We're a 250-year-old republic that the founders knew were going to fail. And that's why they told us it's our right and our duty to change the system. And I figured, well, all I'm going to do is go out and tell some people about this and they'll love it and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not what happened. And it's taken 30 years to get to this point. But a friend of mine told me years ago, he said, "Dave," he says, your thing's never going to happen until the whole world falls apart." And he's absolutely right. And now people are more open to this. And, after that happened, I walked across the country with a motorhome and a banner saying "Democracy in America or Bust." And I did this radio program. And like I said, I went on to win the Dr. Martin Luther King Award and the Logan Award. And now I'm just trying to, I'm dealing with this cancer, and I'm trying to get this message out with this window of opportunity. And I'm hoping the people like it. 30 years ago, there was a guy by the name of Ross Perot. I don't know if you look pretty young. You probably don't remember him.
Got me by 2 years. 2 years.
Okay. But he was on a show called Larry King Live. And this is when I was doing my radio program. He was on Larry King Live, and he was a technology guy, very billionaire. And Larry King says to him, he says, "Hey, Ross," he says, "you're a smart guy." He said, "If you were running the country, what would you do?" And Ross said, "Well, I'd build a technological town hall meeting system." And I'm telling you, the whole country went crazy the next day. And because the country thought this guy's going to give us all a voice on our issues, but he didn't know how to build it. He thought you build it from the top down. He ended up running for president and then he backed out. But I got to tell you, in 30 years, I've never found one person that did not vote for Ross Perot. There's no doubt in my mind that he won that election. And so anyway, this is basically the
Hold on.
blueprint.
Wait, you said he backed out, but I think he got paid off. I think they paid him.
I think he got scared off. He got scared off because remember, this group of people running this country, they killed JFK, and they killed Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King. So if anybody really thinks they're going to change, be at the front of this thing and change this country, it ain't going to happen. He said he backed out because of his daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
And they got to him, and it's nothing for these people to kill people, nothing at all. If you look at the Clintons and how many people are dead around them, this is organized crime that's running America now. But we can take it back, and you got to do it community by community, and you got to do it from the ground up.
That's what I was going to ask you. Has anybody reached out to you trying to make you back out of what you say, or have you dealt with anything like that?
They want me to shut up. I've had phone calls threatening me on my recorder. That was when I was really doing the radio program. I spent 3 days in jail back in 1977 and offered to take a lie detector test, saying I didn't know what this stuff. It was for drugs. And I was put on probation. I admitted my guilt against my lawyer's advice, and I was put on probation, released early, and like I said, went on to win the Dr. Martin Luther King Award. But yeah, there are people that hate what I do.
Wait. Why were you arrested for? What did they arrest you for?
Drugs, delivery of a drug.
Oh, okay.
And I admitted my guilt, offered to take a lie detector test, saying I didn't know what this stuff was. I really did somebody a favor that I had met at a John Hancock party. And this was back in 1977, when they were just cranking up the war on drugs, where nobody really knew anything. We didn't know what was a bad drug or a good drug. But this was the war on drugs started in America as a retaliation of the hippies that got us out of Vietnam. And they knew that hippies smoked pot back then. And so all of a sudden, marijuana, which is, I'm sure you know about marijuana, everybody does. It's not a big deal, but they made it into, there were people that got life sentences for marijuana. And it should have never been included in all that other crap. But that's the way these guys operate. And I mean, even look at what's going on in Canada right now. You got this dictator up there that's threatening these truckers. Well, we're going to start charge you $100,000, and we're going to throw you in jail for a year. And it's like, these guys are thugs. The people running America are thugs. And Canada, they've been paid off by the people that want to build a new world plantation, and they want us all to be slaves on that plantation. And one voice now is the way to stop it, because when you have the people at the top of the ladder, when you pull the ladder, you never pull the ladder from the top, you always pull it from the bottom. And that's what we're doing, community by community, from the ground up.
I believe without a doubt you got your message out there. People are listening and watching right now. They're without a doubt they're being inspired. They're learning. of what they should know about if they haven't already. I'm not saying there's nobody that doesn't know about it, but
I hope so. And, it's not about me. This plan is not about me. It's about them. It's about them having a voice. Because going down every 2 to 4 years to vote for somebody that's going to lie to you is not a voice in the communication age. You deciding what kind of education system you want, what kind of environment you want, what kind of infrastructure you want, healthcare. You decide, and that's what One Voice Now is. It puts the power or empowerment of to in the hands of everyone equally. And one of the things is that people are saying, well, we want equality. There's only one way that everybody can have equality, and that's for everybody to have an equal voice. I can't play basketball like LeBron James.
yeah, you
I'm not
can.
going to get that. I'm not going to get that equality.
Come on, you
And
can
I
get out
can't
there and
sing.
ball with them.
Yeah, I can't sing like Elvis. I don't have that, get that equality. But we can all have an equal voice on the issues in our lives. And it's very simple. God's dropped this technology in our laps, and it's up to us to pick it up and use it. But you got to have a plan, and the plan is at onevoicenow.org. And I hope everybody goes there and tells everybody that they can think of about onevoicenow.org. And if we do that, we can get it out there.
Very well said.
Thank you.
If anybody were to want to reach out to you direct, uh, can they talk to you? Are you okay with the message?
Oh, absolutely. I'll work with anybody, everybody. And yeah, if they need to get in touch with me, my phone number is 574-876-7306. If they go to onevoicenow.org, the contact information is there. And and all we've got to do in every community is build a coalition of people demanding one voice now. And if you do that, I'm telling you, we can fix this thing.
And as we wrap this thing up, because I can't believe we're almost been on here for an hour already. I don't even feel like it.
Have we? Well, I appreciate everything you do, my man. Seriously, you're trying to make a difference, and like I said, you're giving people like me a platform. And I just want people to start talking about the solution now. A lot of these podcasts are about the problem. Everybody knows the problem. If you don't, you're living under a mushroom. And we've got to start talking about the solution. They want us all going in different directions. And what we've got to do is come together with just one idea, and that's to demand one voice now. So thank you so much for having me. I know you and I have been trying to get together for a long time, but I ended up getting COVID, and I was, sick for a couple of weeks, but I'm back and I'm ready to fight every day, man. I want to get this thing done.
Listen to that, folks, man. If you haven't been paying attention, he has cancer. He had COVID. And look at him. He looks good over there, man, don't he? He looks healthy. He's looking good.
I'll send you $10 somehow.
He's looking like a
thank you very much.
Man. Healthy man.
I appreciate it. Hey, well, technology is keeping me alive right now. 10 years ago, if I had got this, I'd be out of here by now. But now they've got some new stuff, and I'm still here. And it's going to get better and better and better. All we've got to do is give the young people the opportunity to really take advantage of this technology and start solving a lot of the problems, including cancer, diabetes, Parkinson's, things like that. There are answers out there, but there's just too much money to be made by having us sick. But we can do this, but we got to take back control of our piece of America.
Do you feel that in here, though?
Yeah.
You know what that is?
What is that?
That's greatness, man. You got it.
Well,
showing it off to the world again. I know you'll be humble
Uh,
though. You'll be humble. You'll say, "Oh, glory to God, man."
absolutely. It's not me. I'm just one brain cell passing it on to the others. That's all. I don't take any credit for this. It's a great idea. I love it. And I hope everybody else loves it and embraces it like I have and stands up and demands one voice now. Like those truckers, if all of a sudden they started saying, hey, we want one voice now. Well, what's one voice now? Just go to onevoicenow.org. It's right in it's everything is there for your community to get busy fixing itself. Nobody's going to fix your community other than you because nobody cares about your community other than you. All you got to do is be empowered. And that's what the technology is that's been given to us by God. And God wants his children to be happy. And that's why he gave us this. And we're ready for the better world, the new and better world right here, right now. So anyway, I'm sorry. I get to talking too much,
No,
man.
it's okay. I was actually gonna just kind of like, I know there's probably some one person out here that's one. How do you feel about just seeing technology and what it has, where it started when it was just talks, and now what it has blossomed and grown into? How do you feel about that? Is it incredible or?
I can answer that question in one word. You know what the word is? Miracle. It's miraculous. And people just take it for granted. And it's like, this is amazing. I had Lyme disease, and I went to all these doctors. Thought I was dying, man. I suffered with it for 3 months. Finally, I Googled Lyme disease, and I read the symptoms, and I'm like, hey, that's me. That's what I've got. And the following morning, I went to the hospital to meet with this arthritis doctor. I walked in, I shook her hand. I said, my name's Dave Frank. I got Lyme disease. And she said, how do you know that? And I told her. She said, well, you might be on the you know, uh, right, whatever I'm looking for,
Yeah.
and I had Lyme disease, and we can, information is available to us right now. We've got to take control of not only our community but our lives again, because look at what the government. Oh, we're going to give you a shot. What do you mean you're going to give me a shot? I'm in charge of my shots, not you. Right?
Yeah, I
So
mean,
they're really overstepping their bounds, and people realize it, and people are open for a real change.
that's not like
So I
that's another great example though. It's like back to what we were saying, is where you're being programmed. And when they wanted to get this shot out there, what did they do? They advertised it, they pushed it out there so that everybody would get it. And now there's people out there that have gotten the shot, and I'm not, anybody that's dealing with it, it's good, it's bad, but that's your choice. I don't want to go to battle with it, but I just
I've
on
got a
my
friend that
end,
got the shot and he died. I got a friend that got the shot and he died. I didn't get the shot. I'm not getting the shot. My wife's not getting the shot. If you want to get the shot, you should get it. That's up to you. But to tell you that you can't be a truck driver anymore, or you can't be in the military anymore because you're not doing exactly what Biden tells you to do, that's bullshit. That's all it is. This isn't a democracy. This is a dictatorship. A democracy is where the people raise the issues, the people debate the issues, the people vote on the issues. A dictatorship is where one person tells everybody what they're going to do. And hopefully people realize that now. But it's time for a solution. And like I said, once again, thanks for allowing me to be on your program. And I hope your listeners like it. And I hope they all go to One Voice Now. And if they need me, have them get in touch with me. I'd be glad to work with anybody.
I just want to say thanks for being on the program and just sharing your knowledge, man. Just passing your what you know, your wisdom to us, and letting the audience know and learn and grow. That way they can use your message. I know there's somebody listening right now that's been inspired. That's gonna do the same thing. You put a fire in somebody that's watching right now, and they're gonna carry on
I
your
hope
message.
so. You
So.
know, the most important, most intelligent person I've ever known called me to his bedside, and he said, Davy boy, he said, you got to promise me you'll never stop doing what you're doing. He said, you're absolutely right. And he said, always remember, Davy boy, Vox Populi, Vox Dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God. And that's what One Voice Now is. So that's where we're at. We need a higher intelligence than this idiocy that's running our lives now.
As we wrap this thing up, I'll put that down in the description so you can check out One Voice and go on there and get to know more about it if you haven't learned enough on this program here. See, I'm
Well,
programming you, but
thank
I'm
you.
giving you the right stuff.
All right.
But I just
Well,
want to
thank you
say,
for having me on, bud.
yeah,
I appreciate
thanks
it.
for coming on again. I'm glad that you're doing so much better, man. You're healthy now.
I'm fighting every day, man. I got to fight to fight. I want to get this thing done. So, but bless you and thank you very much.
And anybody else that's watching right now, thank you for watching and listening to this, episode of Tell Me Your Story. I know it's a little different from the usual, but I'm glad that you were here to listen to it, and I hope it inspired you and moved you. But anyway, I'm signing off here. Just want to say thanks for watching. Thanks for